Hello and welcome. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, seems to be live streaming these days, right? Whether they call it live video or live streaming, it's the same thing. And that's great. 100% awesome thing. Everybody should be out there doing that, especially right now. But most are making the mistake of not knowing the big 6 questions. Do you know them? Don't worry. Because they don't know the big 6 questions, they're all struggling, right? They're struggling to come up with content ideas. They're struggling to find an audience. They're struggling to get engagement. They're struggling to get repeat visitors. I'll bet that sounds familiar to some of you. Yes? Okay, well, it's all right. Don't stress over it. I've got your back. We're going to talk about the big 6 tonight, and you're going to see exactly what you need to do in order to make your live stream successful. Sound like a win? Let's get into it. Okay, right, so we're all either live streaming or thinking about it. Yes? And you're not going to put in all that time and energy and money. You're not seeing the money. I'm looking at the money, but there's a lot of money invested in this. You're not going to do that without a goal, right? You have a reason why you're doing it, right? And part of that is because you want successful streams, right? But you also want to get an audience, right? You want an engaged audience. You want repeat visitors to your stream. And you want to be able to come up with content ideas, right? And that's what happens to a lot of people. A lot of people dive into this, and then they wake up one day and they're like, okay, I had 3 ideas, now what? So we're going to talk through the 6 questions that, if you think about them and answer them honestly, will unlock all of those doors for you, right? The content will just start to flow. It'll help you figure out what you're supposed to be doing, why you're doing it, where you should be doing it, all these kinds of things. So let's go ahead and we're just going to dive right into this because this is a big one. So that is the very first question, right? Great, you want to do this. Great, you know, everybody's saying it is the thing to do. It is the place to be. You need to be live streaming. You need to be doing live video, or even just regular video this would apply to, but we're going to focus on the live stuff tonight. So you're diving in. That's great. And it doesn't matter how you dive in, okay? And that's one of the important things you should take away from this. If you know the answer to the big 6 that we're going to talk about, it doesn't matter if you're doing it from here, from a studio, from a really expensive camera and all that. It really doesn't matter, because people get really excited about this stuff and they go out and they spend thousands of dollars, literally thousands of dollars, on lights and cameras and fancy computers and high-end microphones and monitors out the wazoo. But all of that is pointless if you don't have the core taken care of. So do the core first. Figure out what's important first. Then you can go do the rest of the stuff later. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's fun. It is big fun. But you do want to make sure that you've got the basics covered before you go and you invest all of that. Because you want to make sure that you're pointing in the right direction. And frankly, until you do that, you can't possibly know what gear you actually need, right? So this all serves many purposes. And the nice thing is it's not going to take a ton of time, right? It's just knowing that you've got to ask these questions. It's just knowing that you've got to think through these things. That's what's going to lead you to all of the other answers that you're looking for. All right, we're going to just dive in. So the very first question, the big question, is why? Now that may seem like a super obvious question, but most people don't stop long enough to ask that question. So you want to stop and you want to think about why you're doing this. And you want to think about it from a couple of different points of view. You want to think about it from, obviously, your goals, right? So why are you doing it? What is it that you're looking to do for your business through live video? Whether that's more customers, right? Or just being seen maybe as an authority. Nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing too. Whether you're maybe looking to pivot your business a little bit, right? Especially right now, everybody's kind of scrambling. So, you know, the online thing is going to be very, very important for quite a long time, probably for the rest of our lives. And if you have not been engaged live, starting to do live streaming and live video is definitely a way to quickly get up to speed on that kind of thing. But you also have to look at it from the other point of view. You have to look at it from what you're going to be providing to your audience. Why are they going to come to you? Why are they going to hang out? What is it that they're needing? And when you look at those, look at from the both sides of that question, you're immediately starting to define a lot of important things that most people don't even bother to spend 2 seconds thinking about, right? They just start flailing about. They just start doing whatever they think they need to do, and whatever the thing of the moment is, that's the way they go. Whichever way the wind is blowing, that's where they go. And so there's no cohesive goal or theme to what they're doing, and the audience is confused. The streamers gets confused, and that's all that matters, because that's all that's going to happen is nobody's going to end up showing up. Nobody's going to keep coming back. Nobody's going to recommend you because you're all over the place. So take the 3 minutes that it may take. Maybe it'll take longer, but for a lot of us, it's 3 minutes. If you just really honestly think about why you're going to be doing this, then you're going to be able to get all the other pieces together. And that will also flow into these other questions that we're going to talk about. Okay, so we've mentioned the fact that you need to have an audience, right? I mean, maybe your goal is just that you want to sit there and you want to talk, online, and you don't care if anybody shows up, and that's great. But if you are a business, and most of you who come here are, then you do have something that you're looking to get out of it, right? You're looking to move your business forward somehow. But in order to do that, you have to figure out who the heck you're talking to, right? Who are you trying to reach? Is it your existing customers? Is it new customers? Is it something that's maybe in a parallel line to what you've been doing? That's my dog Murphy giving his 2 cents about it. Yeah, who are you going to be talking to? So that's super important too, right? Because in order to figure out the why, you also need to know the who, and those two go together, and it doesn't really matter which one you think about first, because the one is going to inform the other. So think about who it is that you're trying to reach. Think about what their needs are, right? What their goals are, what they're looking for. And then that's going to help also to explain your why. And try to figure out too, are you looking for your audience to be leads for your business? Or are you just looking to make a connection? And then the leads and the business part may become secondary, because that's going to shift your content. Are you talking to other people in your industry? Are you looking to become a thought leader? And so maybe you're looking to shift a little bit and expand in that direction. Well, that's obviously going to be a very different type of content that you're going to be doing for your customers or your potential customers. So you do need to figure out who is, because it is from that you're going to figure out where. That's the next one. There's lots of places that you could be streaming to. Okay, so right now I'm streaming to Facebook, to YouTube, and to Mixer. Hello, all of you. But that may not be the right mix for you. So you want to figure out where it is that you need to be. You need to figure out where your audience is. And that's going to come from who your audience is, right? If you're looking to talk to the people in your industry, maybe Twitch or Mixer is not your place. Maybe you want to be on LinkedIn or Facebook. If you're an artist or a crafter or a gamer, then maybe Twitch or Mixer or something like that would be a better fit for you. So it is very important to marry who it is that you're looking to attract to the places that they're probably already hanging out. And it's okay, by the way, to not get all of these right off the bat. That's certainly going to happen. But come up with answers to these and then watch it, right? Check your analytics, see what your engagement is like, and you may have to shift a little bit one way or the other. You may need to experiment a little bit here, a little bit there. Just make sure that you're giving it enough time to get real data back. And then that will work for you. Sorry. Murphy, you're going to have to wait, hon. All right, let's get on to the next question. How? Okay, so how are you going to broadcast? What gear are you going to use? How complicated do you want to be? Are you comfortable with the technology or not? Do you need somebody to help you, right? So I help people do remote. I remote produce their live streams for them because they're either not comfortable or they don't have bandwidth or they don't want to invest the time and the money right now into learning how to do it all yourself. And it is complicated to do yourself. When you're trying to take care of your dog and run your show and do all of these things at once, it is a lot to do all at once. So some people want to just focus on their content, and so they hire somebody like me. So you need to evaluate who you are, where you're at, and figure out how you want to go about this. You can absolutely start off doing this from your phone. Matter of fact, you could do it on your phone and never do anything else, right? There's all kinds of road warriors out there that are doing all this kind of great material just using their phone. So don't feel like you have to be all tricked out with all kinds of high-end gear, right, Stuart? Stuart's over on YouTube, and we're in a group, and we're all battling this all the time because we're all kind of on the technology side, and so we all want to play with the new toys. But we have to keep reminding ourselves that there is nothing wrong with going live today from here, if that's what you have. That is the most important thing. Whatever you've got, make it work for you, and then you can always expand and try new things later on. You just want to start off wherever you are. So don't get overwhelmed by that, but you do need to decide what it is you're going to do, how you're going to do it, because that's going to impact the rest of it, like the wares, right? So if you're going to do it from your phone, unless you want to do a lot of hacking, you're only going to be able to go live to one platform at a time, which there's nothing wrong with, especially if it's the right platform. That may be the only place you ever need to be. If you're somebody like me, where like your audience is in a lot of different places, then you might need to reevaluate. Maybe you want to do it live in one place and maybe, upload videos like to YouTube or to Facebook to reach the rest of your audience. There's lots of ways that you can make this work no matter what your situation is. So you just need to figure out the how of it. How are you going to do it? Because from there, you're going to figure out the rest of it. If you have the equipment and you can go to many places, then you have many more options. If you're just going to do it from here in a way that makes your life simpler, because there's certain limitations that are built into this, and those are not necessarily a bad thing. Limitations are not always a bad thing. Let's keep going. Oh, just realized. Okay. Okay, so what is the format of your content going to be? Are you going to do question and answer? Are you going to do a talk show? Are you going to do demos? Are you going to do online sales? Okay, there's a lot of people. So I'm doing this in the time of the virus. And hopefully when you are watching this later, maybe some of you won't have any idea what I'm talking about, and that's good. Yes, Stuart, yes. No, you would never, ever buy gear and not use it. I totally agree. Me either. So you want to think about what the format of your show is going to be, because, again, that's going to impact the other things, the how, the audience, where you're going to do it. So, for example, I follow some crafters who are on Twitch and some are on Mixer, right? But because of the type of work that they do, their setups are different, right? So the artists tend to just be working on some sort of tablet device, iPad, whatever it is that they like to use, and they're just connecting that to their computer. So they usually have a two-shot. Like, one is whatever it is they're working on, and then a picture of them over on the side. Maybe the chat is running also. That's different from the ones who are doing fiber arts, right? Because you need to see what they're doing. So they usually have an overhead shot so you can see their hands as they're working on things. Same thing with the people who are doing pottery. The gamers, right? You usually see the gamer down in the corner someplace over here, right? And then the game is in the background so you can see what's going on. So the what of your content is very important. Now, again, it doesn't mean that you're locked in forever to one type of content. You can always evolve over time, but you need to start someplace, and you need that starting point to be consistent for at least a while you're developing your audience. Once you get a stable audience, if you want to branch out and try some different things or throw some different things into the mix, that's totally fine. But you need to start off with something that people can say, oh, hey, I know this person, they do this thing, I'm really interested in that. I'm going to make a point of showing up when they stream because I want to see more of that. I want to hang out in that community. So start with the what, pick the format of your show, pick the kind of content that you want to do and how you want to present it, and then write all this down someplace, because that is going to be your touchstone as you're going forward from today to whenever you decide to adjust later on, to help you narrow down and avoid making the mistakes that so many people are making today by just flinging about. The next and last big question is when. When are you going to do this? Now, there's a lot of different opinions on this. Frankly, it doesn't matter to me. The important thing is that you do it on a regular basis. Now, if that means that you're going to do it, once a week, crack of dawn because you're a morning person, or you're going to do it at, 10 o'clock at night because you're a night person. Again, there are people who are like, well, your audience is on at certain times of day and all that. And that's true. But you need to commit to a schedule that you're going to be able to commit to. So pick a day, pick a time, pick multiple days and times, whatever your plan is. just make sure that it is something that you are going to be able to follow up on, you're going to be able to commit to and do on a regular basis. And if your audience is not all necessarily available at that time, okay, so just as a, well, this used to be a good example. So let's say that you do material for teachers, okay? And before the virus, teachers are generally not available from 8 in the morning until 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon because they're in the classroom teaching. And even today, when they're doing things from home, they're still probably not available at that regular time. Hey, Scully, how you doing? Scully showed up over on YouTube. He's another friend. Oh, the balloon. That's a nice touch. Thank you. So, maybe that's your audience, right? Maybe there's a certain time of the day you just know they're not going to be available, but for whatever reason, that's the best time for you to stream. That's okay, because if you factor in things like, time zones and different schedules for different types of teaching, and the fact that doing live is important because you get the engagement, you get the excitement, it becomes sort of an event kind of thing for people to show up for. The reality of life is also that you're going to get most of your views after the fact. So if your audience is not necessarily available at the time when it is most convenient for you and easier for you to commit to, then do what you need to do and they'll find you, they'll come, they'll check out your restreams later. So the when is important, but it's not the be all end all. So if you feel like, okay, well, most of my audience is going to be available at 5 p.m. on Wednesdays, but you can't do that time, well, then that's not going to work for you, right? Because you're not going to be able to commit to it, you're not going to be able to follow through. So don't do it then. Pick whatever is going to work for you and follow through. But if you take each one of these, right, so the when, the what, I really shouldn't have made this many notes, the how, the where, the who, and the why. If you take each one of these, you write them down on a piece of paper and you write down your answers underneath it and pin it to a wall, every time you feel like you're losing your step, if you're having trouble coming up with content, you go back and you look at that list and you read through it again, and that will then, that'll center you, and that your ideas will start to flow again. You'll be like, oh, right, okay, so my audience is this, my goal is this. This is what I should do this time around. These are the questions I need to answer. These are the things that my audience is looking for from me. This is how I can help them. And as long as you keep doing that, you're not going to find yourself floundering like so many people are when they're doing live streaming. And that is going to help you become a better streamer. It's going to help you build your audience. It's help your audience engage with you. And you're going to be able to reach your goals by helping them reach their goals. Sound good? Scully says, I love the professionalism of your channel. Scully, thank you so much for that. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that today, because it's been one of those days, It's been one of those days where things just didn't quite go well, so thank you for that. I do appreciate that very much. All right, so that's what I have for you. I really hope that you will take the time to write these things down, to think about them. It sounds so simple, but it is amazingly powerful, and it does a lot. Frankly, for me, until I did this myself, I was floundering and I was trying to do too many things at once and I was kind of all over the map, and that's why people were a little confused about what I was doing. Now that I've got a much better focus, I know exactly what my goals are, what the needs of my audience are, everything just comes together, and every time I start to feel a little stressed or a little lost on what to do next, I pull that list out and I look at it again and everything just falls back into place. Scully says, I'm trying to learn so much. And that's the ongoing thing, right? So am I, right? So I've been doing this for a while now, and I help other people do it by doing the remote production. But you're always going to evolving. You're always going to be learning. There's always something new coming, whether it's just your evolution in the process or, and this is a guarantee, they're going to keep changing the rules on us, right? One week Facebook says this, the next week Facebook says that. So it's a constant learning situation, and that is sort of a reminder for people out there. If you are going to get into this, be prepared for change, because change truly is the only constant, and no more so than when you are trying to do this kind of thing. But don't get overwhelmed by it. That's why it's better to just focus on something and to know where you're going, right? If you have a clear idea in your head of where you're going, then you're going to be able to filter out some of the noise about things that have changed or new things that are happening or new possibilities in the technology. Not that they're not important, because they are, and not that they might not help you, because they certainly can. But you don't want to get overwhelmed by that kind of stuff. And again, by having the 6 answers to these 6 questions will help you decide, okay, yes, maybe I want to play with this new shiny camera that I desperately want to buy, but now's not the time, right? Now's not the time for that because I need to do these other things first. And I'll get to the cool fancy camera later, as I've been telling myself for months now. Scully says, I spent 2 days doing keyword research about everything related to writing and publishing. Right, and that's great, right? Because you need to do that kind of research. You need to get a feel for that kind of information. The trick is to know when to stop. So there's this concept, and give me 1 second and I will get her name. There's an author who wrote a book. 1 second, I can't type and talk at the same time. I don't know why. It's a thing. There it is. Erica Hall. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever heard of this company called A Book Apart, letter A, bookapart.com. There's a book called Just Enough Research by Erica Hall. Read it. It's this big, literally. Most of the books that they publish are this big. They're maybe 150 pages, seems to be sort of their target, but she does a really good job of helping you to understand the difference between going down a research rabbit hole and actually getting the information that you need. It's really easy, especially these days, right, to start researching something and then getting completely lost in it, to the point where sometimes you lose track of what it was you were starting to research. So I highly recommend this book to everybody. I don't know this person. I read it myself, and I go back and I read it every so often again because it's a good reminder that there is a point where there's enough and then there's way too much. And she gives you the tips to know when you're getting to that point when it's like, okay, enough. You've got the information you need. Yeah, you don't know everything in the world. You're never going to know everything in the world about a topic, but you've got enough so that you can take your next step. So yeah, I highly recommend that book. Link. I could probably give you a link. 1 sec. One moment, please. Unfortunately, I don't have my my mod tonight. He had to take care of some things, which was good. It's good you take care of things. 1 sec. I'll see if I can get you right to that book. Should jump out at me because it's one of those things. Oh, you're gonna start barking again? You are Mr. Barky today. Except when dinner got delivered. Okay, oh, this is not all books, that's why. But yeah, and they've got, they kind of cover a lot of different topics, and it does tend to be a little bit geeky, but this particular book I think works for everybody. Come on, Erica, where are you hiding? All right, let me be silly and actually search for it. Usually it just jumps out at me. There we go, see? And here we go. See, ask and you shall find. There you go, good folks. Actually, I'll put it over here too. All right. There you go. Links for you. Okay, so bring this up here. That's what I have for you. See, you got a bonus book recommendation on top of that. So there's kind of a triple win there. Okay, why does that... All right, well, evidently my captioning failed tonight. I apologize for that. Oh, well, some days the technology is going to do that. Oh, art nature photography. Good evening. Been watching you on LSP. Thought I would join you as another geek. Thank you. I'm glad you came over to party. Thank you so much. I am glad to have everybody. That was fun, right? So the Lita thing. That was a good time. We had a good party there. All right. Well, unfortunately, though, you are catching me at the end here. So we were just talking about the fact that there are 6 questions that everybody should ask themselves when they're going to do this type of work, if you're going to do this type of video, because it will help focus you in those moments when you feel like you don't know what your next step is, or you don't know what topic to cover next, or all those kinds of things. And those of you who are really paying attention will recognize that these questions actually have a long history. This is very much what reporters do, right, when they're going to write articles or do their news coverage, right? So these are the basic questions that you always want to ask, but these are the questions that most live streamers never ask themselves. So that's why, who, what, where, when, how. Did I get them all? And what? Right. So if you ask yourself the 6 questions and you really give yourself honest answers, and I say pin them to the wall, you're going to find that you're going to be much more focused about your content. You're going to have a much easier time finding your audience and getting them to engage. And you're going to be able to move your stream further, far faster than other people who are starting off at the same point you are. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming by. Thank you all of you folks on YouTube for hanging out. I do appreciate that. I am here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and I always bring a different topic. If you would like to stay up to date, you're welcome to join the mailing list. I always post in there what the next show is going to be and other things that are going on because I have plans for everybody. So have a good one, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. I hope everybody is well, and you're going to have a good rest of the week. This is my weekend. I've actually took tomorrow off because I need to get some stuff done around the house. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.